Hey everyone, Wobbly Giraffe here. I'm going to go ahead and go over some more of the research that I've been doing today. I think a little bit last night. So I'm going to go ahead. We're just going to jump right into it. I'm going to share my screen and we're just going to step through it kind of together. A lot of it's more or less very similar stuff. So it's the data I'm going through for each company in kind of a documents tab that I think gives their core or important metrics, not necessarily just financial, but regarding mines, regarding recovery rates, that sort of thing, geology rather, and the geography, and just stepping through that. Okay. So I'm pretty sure I finished Aya, silver and gold. So let's go ahead and just step through that. You'll see it's very methodical. So I'm going to share my screen. I think we're good. I'm expanding the corner, although I don't know that that does anything for the video. Hopefully. I don't want to be a little box in the corner, whatever. Either way, I'm a box in the corner. All right, so here we go. We have Aya, silver, and gold right here. So I'm stepping through it, right? Let me kind of move this out of the way. I'm sorry. Zoom takes up a lot of space on my screen. So we have a very similar format. So I try to get a picture so I can dig even deeper, which I've already done for a lot of these people for the board. I had to click on each of these to learn more, which is kind of frustrating, but I found another page where I think it did have them all listed and a little bit more of their background. I'll probably check out their LinkedIn's, look at the companies they worked for, that sort of thing. I will be, kind of grading how I feel about the board. That's what I've been doing. I'm trying to finish that up. Mainly, I'm looking at the president and the CEO. Typically, those are not typically, but sometimes those can be separate. I'm also looking for the CFO, which actually I don't see over here. I must have gotten a picture of the board rather than whatever. I can always fix that. I'm looking for the CFO. And then usually I'm trying to look at, say, the chief exploration officer, which that's not always called the same thing. I'm not necessarily seeing that here. Maybe it's in their information, but I do see they have like an exploration consultant, right? So I do kind of want to typically know that sort of thing. Okay. So that's all well and good. Right, and you'll see that matches up for the other companies that I finished my research for. Well, I did kind of adjust it as I went along. Who? All right. So like who's this? Fortuna? Is this Fortuna? Yeah. So you can see I did a very similar thing there. And that makes it very easy that I can, all right, I want to review this, and this across this company. All right, tab, or I can even copy the pictures into another tab, right? Consolidate that even further. And then talk about that. So all well and good there. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, so just stepping through it. They do provide an all right graph of ownership of their mines. One thing that I've noticed before and I've talked about is they have a Moroccan kind of government entity, I believe. So it is public sector that owns 50. I could be wrong on that. I'm pretty sure their website's in French. So good luck with that. I did link to the website here, oddly enough. Why? Second, there we go. So I'm pretty sure they're right. Okay, there we go. Don't hold control when you click links, I guess. I thought I was supposed to. So yeah, so you can see it's in French, right? So I'm pretty sure they're a public entity. They kind of work for the Moroccan government, which is a constitutional monarchy. So, 15 is not a huge amount, still not 100, which is ideal. So that is kind of a point off or what have you, right, for me. All right, so stepping down, they do provide some highlights. I think that's pretty nice. I'll move my camera down here. So they have their main mine is Z Grounder. They also have what is it? I'm drawing a blank. It's not listed here. The binder. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Emitter bis. There we go. Oddly enough, maybe that's what that deposit is, and they're building out on it. All right, anyhow, moving on. Yeah, see, you know what this might have been is I don't think they've done a more recent corporate presentation. Let's find out. It's coming right back to this. So I've kind of been chugging through this just to kind of get it going quickly so I can relax because I got a lot going on in my personal life. So let's go to what corporate presentations. Yeah. Yeah, no, that says it was this year. Interesting that they don't have, maybe they don't have the emitter bits. Maybe that's later on. All right, coming back to this. So you can see their nameplate capacity, right, was 700 tons per day. Quite a few other businesses had way higher than that. So I do believe Aya had kind of one of the bigger mines, but that's not a lot of throughput in that regard, right? Now they are trying to expand it. I think it was to what, 2,700. So you're looking at a multiple fold increase there. So that's all well and good. They have 44 million ounces of silver, right, with a target expansion to 100 million ounces of silver resource this year. Okay, so that's a lot of silver, and I think they were one of the favorites on Reddit as well. So I think people typically ask me about Aya or Pan American Silver in terms of just total silver, right? And it comes down to a couple of things I said before. So it's who can take advantage of the bull run the best, right? Silver bull runs don't necessarily last super long, okay? And it's a very rocky ride. They're very volatile. So it's who can get the most silver to market the quickest, the cheapest, right? Just because they have a huge amount of silver doesn't necessarily mean they're the best pick. And that's my same argument generally, I think, for Pan American Silver or whoever else, like people were really trying to hype up on Reddit. That once I started kind of researching that, I was like, yeah, they have a big silver mine, but this, and this. Okay. I'm going to talk about that. That's, I think, one of my core points of why I like the company that I do. Okay. So let's talk about this. Their silver production is up 481%. Now that's awesome. Grade up 33%. So they're getting more silver per the amount of rock that they're mining. And the mill recovery rate is up to 82%. So milling is, I mine, I get a certain amount of silver grade per ton at a certain metallurgical recovery rate. Let's say it's 90. Right, so I get 90% of essentially that rock that I'm mining for the silver. The other 10%, it's either just rock or wasted or what have you. Take it to the mill, and then you have that next recovery rate of 82%. Okay. Obviously, we'll want to keep in mind capacity there and whatnot as well. All right, so that's pretty good though that they're improving. Their throughput still seems kind of low to me relative to some of the other companies. Let's take moving my camera over here so I can try and look at the overall performance. See, what are we looking at here? The recovery rate, right? So it's been improving. That's not the best I've seen. Granted, they've come a long way in what, a year? Yeah, that's absurdly low. I don't think I've seen any that low. Now, granted, they're doing better, right? They're at 82.8%. Typically, most of the other companies I've seen are generally like 85 plus. You know, company I like is 90 plus. I think it's 90, 94, 96. I don't recall because I get gold and silver recovery rates, so that's always another number to memorize. You know, so yeah, is that a great improvement? Yeah, but that's still lower than most of the other companies I've seen. Let's see. So moving on. We're talking. Yeah, see this. I'm gonna have to kind of shrink this because it's really. If I minimize it, do y'all still see the camera? I don't know. We'll just risk it because that's really getting in the way here. Probably can zoom out a little bit to help. All right. So we have, yeah, because I also try to keep notes in blue. I've added that. I think that's a great move. So I can come back and review it when I'm all done. So they have a healthy balance sheet with 31 million in cash and cash equivalents, the tight capital structure with greater than 55% of the shares controlled between management, insiders, and long-term EU-based shareholders. That's a good thing. That's something I've talked about in terms of if people are trying to buy it long-term, they do believe in the company. It could be wrong, but that's better than short-term plays in this market, okay? Institutional shareholders make up 12%, including Merck, McKinsey, Conway, Rothschild, and Sprott. And Sprott's kind of big into the silver, well, commodity markets overall. So it's all well good. They say they're linked to new and existing shareholders with KPIs linked to performance. And I disagree with that, right? So they have their shares outstanding. They have diluted shares. That's something I've talked about, that shareholder dilution, in my mind, is not a good thing in these companies. You could have a company that is barely getting by in the reality of the business. Their books look good and they can hype it up and then essentially engage in dilution, which gets them more money, which they could improve on, right? A lot don't. And then the current shareholders are losing a lot of their value, and new shareholders probably might not necessarily get a lot of value, right? So I really don't like dilution in this space. I think I've seen quite a few PhD people make papers on it, as well as Quincy and just some other kind of investors very interested in this space, where they say, yeah, that's not good. I lost my train of thought as I was trying to talk there. What was it going to look up? Oh, I want to look up the price. I want to look up their price over time. Yeah, now we can see they've been kind of on a roll recently. But they doubled in what, like a year? Granted, very flat there. So does that coincide with their recovery rates? Yeah, maybe. All right, well, anyhow, let's get out of Slack here. Sorry, it's been a long day. All right, so they are on the Toronto Stock Exchange, not the New York Stock Exchange. They have good volume. Once again, they have dilution. They don't have a lot of debt or any. That might not be all their debt. I have to look deeper into their financial sheets. That's not a bad thing. And then we have basically where they're located. So they're in Morocco. That's a Western African country. It's a constitutional monarchy. It is relatively stable from what I hear. I think they had some kind of war in the southern, the Sahara? Like the Western Sahara. They did have some issues a little bit ago. This company says that it is safer. And so, we'll see, but that is something to keep in mind. It does appear relatively stable. So there is that. I do like that they're addressing the political risk though. We can't necessarily put a very solid metric to this sort of thing. So it's good to know, like, hey, we're here. Here's why we like this country, blah, 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 right? All right, so Morocco apparently is very precious metals driven. They have a new mining code at helping out foreign investment. And then here's kind of one thing I don't like. Now they're very open about that, so that's good. And they could still be making a profit. They are making a profit. But this is important to note. So 15% free carried interest, that's pretty high, and a 3% NSR royalty. Okay. So the government is open to negotiate the buyback of its 50% interest. And so that actually is probably linked back to the ONHYM, which is that 15%. It's like a government kind of oversight or what have you. And I guess they can buy that back. So that's not too bad. But, right, 15% interest, that's, that's quite a bit. New mining projects are subject to a 5-year tax exemption and thereafter a 20% tax rate. Now, I'm pretty sure they've been in Z Grounder for a while. I think they're trying to open the emitter BIS soon. When did y'all open? $2012. Yeah, so they're past that 5-year rate. And then what's the emitter BIS? I think that's a newer one elsewhere in Morocco. 2011. I think are they still exploring it? I think they're still exploring it. That also would explain why that wasn't in the other document, because there's still, yeah, it's an exploration property. Okay, fair enough. All right, so let's come back. Yeah, so you can see as well their mines are, relatively close. Probably not a lot of economies of scale here. I mean, there is a highway. How many miles is that? It's actually, it could have some economics of Morocco. They could have some economies of scale there. Right. And I like that sort of thing. A couple of companies do where they have mines close enough that we can basically save money on mills or equipment or something, just move it around. Let's see, so Morocco, Google my maps. Where are you? So we're looking at Marrakesh. I hope I'm saying that right. Where are you? Roughly Marrakesh to kind of a close, something quite a bit to the east of Khor. So right here, let's go kind of split in the road. Might be digging a little bit too deep, but that's okay. I'd rather over know than under know. Hard to say. Probably under guessing here, over guessing it there. So let's just do this. Oh, wait, what? Are you not gonna let me? I'm guessing that was not like how to. So Marrakesh to Juarezzate's about what, like halfway ish. Juarezzate's, so let's find it first. Take you there, and then how do I do directions? Switch it, and then that was it. It's kind of a cool name. Is that it? Yeah. So even that is what? Can I get in miles options? Thank you. I am an American. 120 miles. Yeah. I mean, and it looks like it's a little more than that. So maybe not the most economies of scale, but could move stuff between mines if they need it to, right? So that's all well and good. All right, so what else? And I'm not too interested in the gold mines. Obviously, that is a source of income. I think silver is going to outplay it so much that I'm not too worried about gold. So yeah, they got their geology as well. I'm going to really start digging into this in the near future. Unfortunately, I don't have a geology degree, as I'll say many times on this channel. It's something. And I definitely want to know more. I know people have talked about it. I do think there is some insight to be had into this sort of stuff, but never sort of studied that before. We do have their high grade intercepts. I do like these graphs as well, because we can see their progress over time. Usually we'll get like a year by year picture of this sort of thing. And we'll see, they'll start out here and then they'll dig down or they'll split off here, what have you. Okay. So it is good to see these sorts of graphs. 1 second. Oh, it is good to see these sort of graphs because we can get an idea of how they're doing, how deep they're going in terms of elevation, because usually CapEx is going to increase the deeper down they go, and that sort of thing, right? So you could see they dug out the most here. There was a lot of high grade stuff here, a lot of high grade stuff here. They might need to explore this, or maybe they didn't find anything, like maybe that's a shaft and there's nothing, so they kept going around. Yeah, that's probably a shaft, actually. I don't think I've seen a lot of the other companies do graphs like this. Could be wrong. So that's all well and good. And we can see, they kind of went around here and didn't necessarily find anything else. So is there still stuff to be had? Sure, but they're going to have to keep digging deeper. So a lot of that high grade stuff, at least in this part of the mine, is behind them. Right? And now you can see they're finding less and less the deeper they're going. So CapEx goes up. They might be higher grade, right? I mean, that's much bigger. That's still pretty darn high. Well, actually, is that gold? Oh, that's silver. Yeah, so that's pretty darn high right now. How big of a strike hole that was, I don't know. I know I've seen super high grade ones that were very, very small, right? So that's a huge grade, might not be that long. I'd have to look into the drill intercepts. But once again, I'm really starting to like these graphs, especially the more I've seen. I can kind of put them side by side. I probably will for companies and really try to look into that. So definitely a fan. Wish I understood this a little bit more, but it looks like a heart and like a face. So, I need to start reading about this stuff. All right, so that's all well and good. Definitely a fan. So we have their top silver intercepts globally, right? So they have essentially the mines from a lot of different companies, and then they have I'm assuming the silver equivalent. Yeah, primary silver intersections of 2020, 2021 global year to date. No, ranked by AG grade thickness, 14.4 meters at. Yeah, so what I'm assuming they're doing is, I didn't multiplying that. I haven't seen anyone typically word it that way, but I do know what they're trying to do. So give me a second. 3, 0. I mean, that would be super high. Yes, I don't think it's a direct. There's definitely a mathematical formula for that. Where? I don't think it's a direct multiplication because that would be, yeah, it's pretty darn high. Oh, actually that is it. Okay, fair enough. Now here's the thing, right? Is that this doesn't take into account costs. Okay. So yeah, do they have the top highest 2 and they're definitely in the top 10? What, like 1, 2, 3, 4, top 10-ish? Yeah, right. This doesn't take into account costs, right? What are their exploration costs? What are their fixed costs? What's their CapEx? That sort of thing, right? Any of those costs. Are they high? Are they low? Right? What else? So yeah, this makes them look very good. And it's not necessarily that they're bad. It's just this is one kind of part of that, right? And I do think a lot of Redditors, when they were asking me about the company that I chose, they brought this sort of stuff up, like, oh, they have a big mine, it's high grade, and sure, it's, it comes down to a lot of factors besides that as well. Like, what's the mine life left? How long has the grounder been open? Its history has been going on for a very long time. So we don't necessarily know how much longer that mine has without doing a super more detailed analysis. So, no. Does it have a lot more high grade intercepts to go? And the answer is, I'm not necessarily a geologist, but a lot of high grade stuff here. And then you can see it kind of spaced out a little bit. There's nothing here. Still have some digging to go there. So there could be stuff, but the elevation kind of looks like it's cutting off here, right? So that looks good. Might not necessarily be good. Could be great. We don't know. All right, so we have the drill program. I like seeing this sort of stuff. This is just another kind of way of looking at a lot of their mining, kind of at that, I don't know if the right word is lateral, Like we're kind of looking across the mine. Does that make sense? And they essentially are talking about their grade intercepts again. Okay, so there you go. Good to have that sort of information. It is very transparent. That's awesome. So here's the top 50 intercepts. I feel like I've covered this more or less pretty good. We can see that there's quite a few that are not necessarily huge. I think quite a few companies were on average higher. So they do seem to have quite a few that are huge. And then we kind of see the general mean in that regard is kind of in between here. So like 1,000, 2,000 grades per ton, right? All right, so I think I covered that. They're starting to hit the granite. So there you go. So their M&I increased by 340%, right? So that's a lot more silver or silver equivalent included in their measurements. Once again, comes down to cost. Just because they're sitting on a huge mine does not necessarily mean that's a good thing. Also, you know, that's based on their estimates. Could be wrong estimates. So there you go. What we got here? The drill program. Yeah, more of the same. Yeah, good graphs. I'm getting used to those a little bit more. Definitely more of a fan than I was at first. You know, I don't think that tells me anything necessarily new, other than they think they can start mining this way. However, that being said, we can see there's the drop off in that granite slab downward. So does that mean they would have to dig more down here, which is a lower level or cost, right? If they didn't find anything up here, which they might. Definitely kind of becoming a fan of the geology stuff. I just don't know the rock types. All right, so here we go. I think that's about it for the, how did the stuff get moved over? Whatever. So that's about it for the corporate stuff. We're getting there. They have the potential catalyst. I do like companies mentioning this, as well as trying to adjust a lot of, or address a lot of the potential issues they could have. So, you know, one, they addressed that they're in Morocco, and why that's, you know, a good thing. That's a safe thing according to them. So like that. I also like addressing catalysts. So it's addressing all of our risks, such as political risk, and then addressing very tired catalysts. So here's what they think will really make their company pop off, right? So there's the optimization operations. We see that their it was either their mill or their recovery rate is starting to really go up. There's continued drilling in Z Grounder. There's that 100 million ounces of silver resources. Excuse me for a second. It's been a weird day. They have that 100 million ounces of silver resources and a maiden reserve. So that's kind of a big deal. They're trying to expand their milling to that 2,700 tons per day. Or rather, was that mining that amount, the tons? Either way. So they're trying to improve their mining and their mill. I know both are true. They're trying to really ramp up exploration, which once again, I feel like this is kind of leaving off some stuff, right? So it's what's their cost of exploration? I know quite a few other companies had super low exploration costs relative to the group, right? So there's that. Achieve 1.2 million ounces of silver 2020 production and cost guidance, and still ESG, so what environment, social, and governance, and CSR values throughout the organization. So there you go. We can see that if you invested in them since what 2020, you had a very outsized gain to the ETFs. However, I've kind of addressed in a previous video about how the ETFs are very rigged by JP Morgan. So this doesn't necessarily surprise me. Not to discount this graph, they are doing better than those ETFs, but it seems like kind of that whole buy a basket of companies move in this space is not a good one. I've seen people either buying direct physical silver or buying PSLV, so physical PSLV, or in my case, buying SLIV. So I don't necessarily see this as a good thing, because we're going to see PSLV silver, physical silver, and the right miners really go to the moon, right? Versus this. I think most people are waking up to the ETFs, and SLV was in particular the big one that, very flat. Let's actually take a look at that real quick. This was the biggest and most manipulated one. Let's see, can I see your, yeah. So for the past, since the last bull run ish, 2008 up to 2010, we can see it's just been super flat. Now silver did spike recently, so we're seeing this, but yeah, generally flat. All right, so that's all well and good for the overview. Let's dig in their financials a little bit, shall we? So I tried to just get their corporate financials. The most recent one, I'm gonna probably try and dig a little deeper over time so I can get multiple years, especially for calculating cash flow and enterprise value, which I think are very important metrics. This is not a fun process. It's very tedious because it's literally going page by page and looking what I want, what I think is a good metric. And it's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. It's just more or less their balance sheet, income sheet, statement of cash flows, and the like. And I do want more than 1 quarter. Well, I guess it's 1 quarter and then previous year. So fair enough. We do see they have good assets. We're seeing the total assets is pretty high. It's increasing, so that's good. Their liabilities has increased as well, although not significantly. And then there's the equity. Now I'm not sure I addressed dilution over here. I'm sure that's also in their financial sheet. So we'll come back to that if I haven't. All right, so we have their silver sales, which should go up if there is the bull run silver, which there will be. Their gross margin also flipped to being positive, so that's good. They went from having that negative net income. Once again, most of the silver miners did, probably due to COVID, all of them shut down, to positive. So that's all well and good. All right. I don't think this had to do with dilution. Give me a second. I don't think I see anything in there regarding dilution. Where are you? Repurchase of common shares, net loss. Share-based payments. Maybe that's involved in that. I have to come back to that. That's okay. Once again, if I don't think it's necessarily the most important in my analysis, which from a gut reaction, I'd say that isn't, that's fine. I'd rather have more information than not, and then boil it down for all of the companies so I can quickly flip between tabs. So we have their consolidated statement of cash flows. This is probably, to me, the most important document for a lot of these companies. We'll see as I dig deeper. We have our net income, once again, went from negative to positive, probably due mostly to COVID. Most of the companies I've looked at, that's what happened. We do have a lot of foreign exchange issues going on here, and they're using Moroccan dollars. So since the Moroccan economy seems to be relatively based on commodities, that could lead to some issues, at least with the foreign exchange. If their economy kind of took a slight downturn or something, because some of those other commodities weren't necessarily requested or in demand, that could definitely mess up their foreign exchange. So that's not insignificant. I don't think I've seen that high for other companies. Could be wrong. Definitely will double check that. Let's go ahead and give you an underline. Where are you? What am I? Oh, shapes. Yeah, just do a line. I hate Windows. Okay, let me go ahead and make that big as well. Okay, so that's something to look at. Let's change that to yellow. Takes way too many clicks to. I probably can't change the color again. All right, just underline should be enough. Moving on. Let's see if I see. We can see they tried to acquire quite a bit of property, plant, and equipment. They have their exploration going on, so that's expected. Algon Gold. I'm getting almonds. What is this? What was it? Algold? And I'm thinking of Lord of the Rings or something. So let's see what. Did they completely merge with you? Well, you're cents on the dollar, so a lot of this data is looking like it's from 20, growing concern, doubt. So what did COVID wipe them out? Might have. Yeah, they don't seem to be doing too good. They're a penny stock or something. So that's also something to kind of look into a little bit more. Where are you? Shapes. Bada bing, bada boom. I'm going to just keep it the default blue because that's more clicks to try and at the very least I'll do a thicker weight. But all right. So yeah, they have their ownership here. We can see that the Moroccan government has that 15% each of those. They only have one mine currently in production in terms of silver. The other are exploration. So, you know, if those exploration properties don't pay off, that's not necessarily a good situation to be in. All right, so inventories, I do like seeing this for all of the companies. I know First Majestic, I had that as well, where they were making silver Adore bars or something more specific, but this is all well and good. So they have smaller ore stockpile than some of the other ones I've seen. They have concentrate circuit and they have their bars, and then they have their mining supplies. Now, I'm not sure. I would assume that's more rigs, that sort of thing. I'm generally concerned with what we have in terms of silver and the ore. In particular, maybe the ore, right? That could, I mean, that definitely is something to look at. I know quite a few silver mines were talking about like sitting on silver until the bull run happens. We can see here their stockpile is probably not the biggest, at least. Was it First Majestic where we had? Let's try it. How far over? Oh, did I lose some of my research again? I'm gonna make a textbook out of all the shenanigans someday. How you two can read for hours on a day. Where are you? Did I not? I must have done you a different format. It's a little frustrating. It might have been mag that I had it for. You do see they had dilution. You know, obviously not related to my current question. So yeah, maybe it was mag. I know I had this for at least one other company. No, it looks like some of my mag stuff got deleted as well. All right, I'll come back. I know there was some more stuff there. Once again, very excited about this. I am definitely getting there. It's taking a little bit of time, but I think I'm gonna also go left to right. I was trying to do the biggest players first and go to the smallest players. Screw that. I'm just gonna go left to right. I'm kind of getting confused. You can tell. But I'm like, oh yeah, let's compare to this one. I'm like, oh, that's the wrong one. So I'm gonna do it left to right, just so I can flip, 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 and be good to go. Anyhow. Thursday. Yikes. Ready for the weekend. Anyhow, their stockpile is there. I'm not sure that's the biggest I've seen. I know I saw a couple that were bigger. All right, so we can see their costs regarding exploration, mining, and production, equipment, that sort of thing, assets under construction, rights of use, and the total, right? So foreign exchange isn't looking too bad there. Let's see, cost balance, transfers, additions, depreciation, right? Depreciation is something I always definitely look at. Do they have it compared across years? They don't. Either way, I'm going to go ahead and draw a line there. I definitely wish Excel had like just kind of a paint thing. Maybe there's some sort of addition there because I really don't like having to do this. Very annoying. Let's just do that. Give you a thicker weight. Let's do it on both sides. Cheeks, line. All right, there we go. Then we have our amortization as well. Okay, so I want to keep an eye on that. I'm going to compare that hopefully across different years and in different companies. We don't want to see something that's ridiculously high or spikes, right? Because then that means they're kind of cooking their books a little bit. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take a short break while I get some water. I will be right back, okay? Hello again, guys. Wobbly Giraffe here. We're going to pick up kind of where we left off. I'm not too sure where I ended up. That's all right. I got some Wendy's. I did get some nuggets. So, yeah, shouldn't be eating the tendies ahead of time, but whatever. Exploration and evaluation assets during the 3-month period ended March 31st, 2021. The year ended December, blah, blah. Yeah, so the exploration and evaluation. Okay, cool. So they have their rights. They have their expenses, blah, blah, blah. Foreign exchange again. I do like seeing this exploration number. So let's just keep. Why do you have to make drawing a line so freaking hard? I got to press 5 extra freaking buttons. All right, so I do like seeing that. Now, ideally, there's kind of a trade-off, is we would like to see that be lower. It is actually, yeah, so it is an expense, right? We would like to see that low, but at the same time, if they're exploring a lot, it's going to be big no matter what. So we do kind of want more of like a how much are they spending per drill hole, or how much are they spending per meter, right? The absolute number in this case isn't necessarily much to go on, especially if they own like a bigger mine or multiple bigger mines. They're going to be spending more exploring than say a smaller mine, but there's a lot of other factors to that. Okay. Excuse me. Let's see, what is this? Is this, would this tell me dilution? I cut off part of the table apparently. So this looks like it's options, at least this part is. So what is this? Shares, the Canadian dollar amount maybe. It says granted an exercise, so that must be options too. That's all right. Hold on. All right, hey guys, took another break because I had some other stuff to do. We'll just keep powering through this. My camera does not seem to want to focus. That's what it is. So let's share my screen and get back into this, shall we? Screen 2, I guess. Look over here. Yeah, so I think I left off on, I don't know. I think I did depreciation. So we want to look at that across different companies. Okay, yeah, we also did drilling relative to other companies, the size, the cost. This looked like this was stuff regarding options. Average value. Expected life. Is this for? So this was the Black-Scholes model. So I'm actually very happy to see that. I think that's very transparent. That was something I want to calculate. I could not find. So that's nice to be able to see that they did that. I'm going to go ahead and underline that. That is how it should be done. Doesn't mean they're the best. Definitely means they're very transparent though. So I'm very happy with that. Let's actually make that thicker so I see that loud and clear. What's some, what is this though? Oh no, so that's not for the mines, that's for the share price. Rip. Take that back. Yeah, It's like, well, those numbers don't look like they're applying to mine. One can hope. All right. Moving on. I did want to point out actually real quick before we move on. They did issue more shares, right? And that's stuff I'm kind of looking for in the mining industry. We generally don't want to do that. It's not always bad. It's just, where are you? Blah, 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 blah. I know I saw you somewhere. I don't see where you. I literally saw you. But somewhere else. Whatever. We'll see. I'll check it as we go down here. So we do have their production per mine. Once again, I think one of the things I kind of am a little hesitant with this company about, despite Redditors liking them, is they currently only have one mine producing. They are exploring another one, at least in the silver realm. I mean, maybe just one in general. But they have Z Grounder. They're still kind of finishing exploring and setting up the other one. And that can be a little dicey. All right, so total non-current assets, total current total assets, total liabilities. All right, fair enough. Production zero. So hey, baby boy, what's the matter? Why are you whining? Hey, it's okay. What's up, buddy? What's up? What's up, buddy? You hungry? I don't feed you just because you whine. You know that. Let's go ahead and underline that. There's a difference between these total non-current assets. Oh, that was the previous year. Okay, and then we also have their exploration. Honestly, I should probably just do let's do a little arrow. Just there's an easy way to do these arrows. All right. Hell are you? Excuse me. I mean, use that word. Trying to work on that, but I get frustrated. That's the first thing to pop out. So let's make that heavier. I do like that metric. All right, what do we have here? Production, revenue, cost of sales, general administrative expenses, operating income. Okay, so that's all well and good. I should generally just look at that overall. I have that for most companies so far. I'm going to continue adding that. Ingots, silver concentrate. Okay, yeah, so that's all well and good. A couple of companies release that. What is this? Not so worried with this. Share-based payments. I mean, if it's management kind of taking that, still technically counts as dilution, I would argue. Excuse me. cash equivalents, accounts receivable, accounts payable, accrued liabilities. Okay, that's how do I insert a text box? You know what I can do? I can just do it on line. Okay, so rocking. All right, makes sense there, Morocco. Just trying to figure out what that was for a second. Not a more well-known financial cash currency. So I think this is what I was looking at, maybe. Financial liabilities. Maybe not. I'm not sure that brings dilution. So cash flow information. So here was, I think this might have been what I saw. Zanzibar, why are you whining, baby boy? What's the matter? Hey, what's up? What's up, buddy? You hungry? It's not time yet for food. You can't just come up to me and whine. You don't get your way, buddy. You're spoiled. You know that. Oh, kid, don't get in my face. Come on. So they did do some dilution. We can see that. Didn't lower it too much, but any dilutions, bad dilution, in my opinion, in this industry. Do I have anything else? Yikes. This is quite literally going to be a textbook. Yes, I have all this stuff over here that I was trying to move. Let's do, oh, whoa. Oh, no? Oh, but that gets all my graphs here. It's just like a leaning tower of Pisa. Come on, Excel. Did that get all of them? Did. I love how my research is just going in a random direction the further down I go. It's like Tetris. All right, let's get this. Let's see if I can copy it a little. Let's see. Okay. Copy. Paste it further over this time. Now are we clear? Oh, wait, what? Really? Why do you still have to manually do this? Are you kidding me? Such a bad program. Give me 1 second. I am trying to generally present my research. Alrighty. So I do have this third column. we go. All right, so let's go down this column, shall we? What do we have here? This was the updates for their main mine. So the EBITDA BIS, as far as I could tell, they don't have that up and going quite yet. They're getting close. So this was kind of the estimates just per that mine versus say the overall company. Okay, so we have their metallurgical stuff. We have their plant, how they started out. They had their average process recovery of 85% silver, which a little bit lower than some of the other companies have seen. Cutoff grade, not too worried about that. They raised it 340%. We can see that the average grade per ton was 282. I've seen consistently higher for some other companies, so that probably leads to higher costs for these guys in that they're mining, they have to mine more rock. Oh, am I sharing my screen? I'm sharing my screen, aren't I? I hope I'm sharing my screen. I am now. Their average grade per ton is lower than some of the other companies I've seen, which means they have to mine more to get the same amount of silver. Once again, that translates to that higher cost. It is up 340% though, so that's all well and good. They have their mineral resource measure estimate essentially increased from 2.6 million ounces to 35 million. That's a hefty increase. Now, I mean, they must have been hitting consistent silver. You know, that's a wild upside increase in the amount of silver they have. That is their indicated. The updated inferred mineral resource decreased. What was inferred again? Did I delete you from here? What happened here? Did I lose that tab that I wanted? Shoot. That's frustrating. There. Total resources inferred was increasing certainty. Where was I? So viability is proven probable. Certainty is, it's going to the left. So inferred's the lowest. That's a bad graph. Measured's the most certain. Economic viability is proven higher than measured. So what were you? The inferred. What did I do? So the inferred dropped. So they did find more. What increased? The updated measured indicated. So they moved a lot here. Right. It's good for them. Okay, let's get over through that. Great for time. So I wish I could compare this across multiple time frames. Either way, though, yeah, that did go up quite a bit. Did they take out any here? The updated mineral resources managers doing increase the confidence level in mineral resource by converting 20.3 million ounces of inferred into a measured indicated. So here's the thing, though. So the updated measured mineral resource increased from 2.6 million ounces to 34. The updated indicated increase. So they generally won all around there. Yeah, so it wasn't, oh, we found some, but we lost more in our kind of uncertain category. Fair enough. All right, so not generally the highest grade per ton I've seen. So they have higher costs, and we've seen that. I think their cost, all-in sustaining cost to mine is quite a deal higher than most I've seen. I have to write down these numbers. I know I've seen better. Okay, yeah, and then we have the geological survey here. It's all well and good. Yeah, I mean, we saw a better one elsewhere where they have it marked off, but we're starting to hit that hard granite here where costs go up, so they're kind of shifting down here. All right, feasibility study. So what are you at now versus, let's go with measured and indicated. You have 6 million ounces of silver. Wait, where are you? What total? What's your total? Tons? No. Tons. Okay. Yeah. So there's tons. 500 plus. Well, you probably mine some of it, so that would take it down, right? And it's probably for one mine. Well, this is for Z grounder as well. So okay, so it's 2014 and yeah, so that's below and above their cutoff. Fair enough. When silver goes high enough, they mine the rest of that. Yeah, see, I don't know a lot about the geography. I did like this kind of graph for the marking what is in what stage. Hopefully other businesses have that as well. Yeah, so I found this interesting. It's not pure silver. I think some of the other mines had more pure silver. So there you go. It's a silver. What's HGO in it? Mercury. Oh, that might cost them more money to handle that because, like, what does mining mercury do? I guess maybe you have to treat it somehow to make it dangerous. I don't know. China has the most mercury. How many mercury safe? So it's a hazard in mining gold. In this case, silver, but typically it's in gold. That's what I'm seeing. Mercury in the mining operations. So you can also use it to mine. That's interesting. Oh, anyhow, that'd be interesting to see how that plays out. All right. All right. So then we have here another geological graph and the levels the ore is at. So I like something like this as well. As I try to sit down and really study the geography more, I probably can look up, say, some sort of number on how hard that rock is to mine, and then go from there. Okay, so I really kind of like this sort of thing. We'll look up a lot of these rocks and like, because it gets harder to mine typically as you go further down, but there are like differences in the specific type of rock, right? So maybe quartz, just kind of as a hypothetical example, quartz is easier to mine than say fluorite, right? Don't know if that's true or not. I have to look up sort of a geological pressure, what have you. Okay, yeah, so I like seeing this as well. This is that overall they're laying down their mine holes and their vein, drilling holes, excuse me, and their veins from above. And we can see they found a lot here that coincides with, what is that graph? You don't even like zoom where I want you to. I believe that area is going to coincide with either that, yeah, probably that. So there is that. That's all well and good. So they found a lot of silver here, but now they have to start spreading out and finding silver in the other areas. If they don't find that, then tough out of luck. Previous mineral resource data February. Okay, where's their updated one? Is this the updated one? Yeah, I also like seeing this as well. We're kind of moving on from these for now. I'm gonna have to come back to that sort of stuff. We could see they had their maximum silver grade per ton that they found, right? So we have like 16,000, 60,000, that sort of thing. There's the mean as well, okay? So there was, you already you had something over here as well. Yeah, so they have that, right? So they would have like the biggest one, right, of these, and talk about that size. So that's a nice little data to have. What I would say, right, is what's important here, because I've seen this in a lot of companies I like, including Silvercrest. I didn't fully understand. I think I emailed a couple of companies about it and they got back to me explaining it. But we could have a super high hole like this, but if it's not like a big vein, then that isn't necessarily like, it's not a bad thing. It's high grade, but you're not making buku bucks on that. So if you had, a 60,000 grams per ton silver hole, right? That's super high. That's going to keep your costs low. You don't need to mine as much. You just kind of, it's all the silver, you're good to go. But if it's a short vein or a short hole right into that vein, it's going to stop right here. You're not going to get that much silver in total. So it is good to see stuff that high, but we are more concerned kind of with that, say that mean. And the mean's a lot lower than some of the other companies I'm seeing. So, hey, wow, 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 but like, and they have their standard deviation. What's COV? Standard deviation, obviously, so it's the more they drill, they're finding stuff around that mean. Coefficient of variation, I should know that. I'm not too worried about that. Standard deviation is enough in this case. And I did like this as well. I don't think I've seen a lot of companies do this, but it's their elevation versus their grade per ton. So I'm assuming that the closer to the ground they are, the higher grade per ton they typically are. I'm going to check this right now because maybe I have it backwards. And then the elevation, the lower they are, the lower it is, right? So I don't know if that means they're mining. That's not clear to me because, like, let's come back to that graph, right? What are they using the elevation here? Are they using like some elevation down here where it's, okay, yeah, the higher up we are here, the better we are, because I'm seeing, right, I'm seeing good, 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 and that's going deeper, right? Good, good. I mean, that's close to the surface, right? So it seems like the deeper they're digging, the better they're doing, right? That being said, I'm not sure how they're calculating that elevation. That's deeper, right? And what we're seeing is the deeper they go, the more it's not a high grade silver, and that's not good. Some of the mines have some of the richest silver deep down. Since they've already dug out a lot of it, that's not too good. But we can see kind of that mid range, they had a lot of silver. All right, and then I like looking through the NI 43-101 technical reports, and that's kind of updating each specific mine, right? This one was talking about Bomadine, I think. They're one of the deposits. Yeah. All right. So hold on. Let's look that up real quick. Cause I don't, that might have been a specific vein in that mine. Iron, gold, and silver. Yeah, so that's its own mine. Now there is some silver in that. I think that's mainly gold. Let's zoom in. I am super zoomed out on this, making that hard to read. What was I thought I'd seen elsewhere that you were mainly gold. I'm not seeing that on that page, to be honest. I mean, I have the technical report over here. It's probably in this data I've used. So let's see. Per ton. They have a total of tons. Yeah, so we don't have that per silver, do we? Okay. yeah, what are you finding here? So you're getting more, you have a high grade silver. Where's gold? You said you got gold in this mine. I'm not seeing that. Copper, what, zinc and iron? Not concerned with the non super precious metals. All right. Now we did have, they're talking about ramping up their tons per day, I believe, TPD. Okay. Forecast the rest of mine life, that is to say until 2033. So the mine life is, what's their mine life? Because I'm always skeptical of long ones per what people said. In year 2022, the production will increase to 20,000. So we end in mine life. So it's 2023. It's 2021 now. That's 12 years. That's already pretty long. How long has that mine been around? Or is that's a newer mine? I was thinking of their current one, Z Grounder. When did we start it? We announced drilling program in 2018. Surface sampling was 2016. Yeah, so that's not a long mine life at all. That's semi-reasonable. All right, and then something else I want to point it out is, and I'm going to try and also make sure I have this all for the companies as well, is the assumptions they use in their element prices. So I've seen most companies, I think, seem more like using $16 or $17 per silver, typically $16.50, I think is what I've seen. So I'm going to definitely include that because that could definitely affect their accounting, right? So if we assume a lower price, then we're assuming we're going to make less money. And we would want these companies to be kind of more conservative in that regard. If they assumed $100 per silver ounce, which silver's not close to that currently, that would make them look a lot better than they are. So that is something to watch. I think they're below what I've typically seen. All right, so here's Boo Madine. Once again, don't necessarily know a lot of these rocks. I'm going to look into that. And then we have their drill holes. So front two. Yeah, I don't think I've typically included samples of drill holes. I could be wrong on that. I'm going to start doing that. A lot of my research was drill holes, and I was just looking through and trying to see what's their average or what's their general silver grade per ton, and how big are the holes, right? So you have your length. Let's just put that back there because I think did I not include it? I wonder if part of my research got cut off. All right, that's fine. All right, so just kind of using this as an example, right? The thing is we could have a super high grade silver per ton, but if like the length was, let's say, super low, that's about average. That's not necessarily a good thing, right? So would you rather have, say, let's just say this was like 3 meters at this. That's the highest one. So would you rather have 0.5 meters at this, or would you rather say, let's just say this was like 5 meters at this, right? That comes down to cost and everything else. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Not a great example, because I've seen companies, right? And I think they had one elsewhere on this document where they had 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, 30,000 grades per ton, but then it's like, how long was it? All right, so that's kind of it for IA. I'm gonna probably keep building on that. Gonna get some older financial data as well to compare to their current documents. Need to build on the geography. Pretty happy with that. Once again, just kind of the basis. And I need to start really padding it out, coming to conclusions. But I think it's pretty well thought out, and at the very least, it's very well structured. It gives me a lot to go on, right? So I'll probably move on to CDE, which is okay. Sorry, I had a pop up for Slack for work. Yeah, so I think this is very good basis. I'm going to keep building on this for the other companies, and then kind of come back, compare them all and whatnot. So I think I've done 2 or 3 companies at this point, redone rather, 2 or 3 companies at this point, and it's going a lot quicker than previously. And I think it's pretty well structured and cleaned up. Okay. All right. All right, so off I go. I'm gonna go ahead and stop it there since I'm getting messages for work and I start working in a little bit. Hopefully this wasn't too long a video, very kind of technical and dry, but it's kind of laying out what I'm going through each company and what I'm kind of building on. It's definitely the reworking of my groundwork, I guess, or what have you. I think it's going pretty well. And the thing is the more I'm reading for each company, the even better I understand it. So it's like, I, at first, real quick, let me share my screen. Once again, at first I would look at these geological kind of surveys and be like, I don't get what's going on here at all. And what it is they're looking at kind of that lateral cut of the mine, I suppose. And I like that they include their tunnels. I don't think I've seen that in other companies. I could be wrong. But this actually is really nice. And I do think it gives some good information to kind of make an educated guess of how that mine's going to do in the future. For instance, they kind of are hitting the granite down here where they're going to have to spend more to mine if they even want to. So now they're shifting their mining up here and down there, right? So that kind of puts a cap on how much silver, at the very least, in this current part where we saw them find a lot of silver, right? So now they're kind of shifting back to exploration, right? Which means not as much silver per se, unless they find it quickly in the short run. Okay, so really starting to understand that. Definitely a fan of that sort of thing. I do not know the rock geology. Hopefully I can figure that out. I'm gonna do some research on the types of rocks, but hard to tell. It's like some PhD stuff, if I'm being honest. All right, so anyhow, thank y'all very much. Hopefully you kind of enjoyed this. Hopefully this gets you interested in this sector and investing in general. Obviously this is relevant to mines, but it's nice to dig through this stuff and do some analysis, talk about it. And this sort of process applies for most of the stock market after the short term, because we're definitely not heading toward a very good economic cycle. It's coming to an end, right? We're definitely kind of at the end of an economic cycle as the Federal Reserve prints a lot of money. And I mean, there's still this whole COVID shenanigans going on and whatnot. So, yeah. Either way, thank you very much. You have a good one.